It's time, Fort Wayne. Your sports, your station. It's the Sports Rush with Brett Rush. Covering all the topics that hit a nerve here in the Summit City.
Clark goes 11 yards, touchdown.
Only on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Now here's your host, Brett Rump.
The greatest, most interesting, most important person of all time.
You are incredible. Over and I'm going,
yeah, well, you're half right.
What is this, amateur hour?
This is going to be huge.
I believe this is going to be our finest hour.
Just when I think you've said the stupidest thing ever, you keep talking.
I think that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
That boy ain't right.
The simplest way to put it, I have problems.
Welcome to the alleged show.
Here I go again on my own. Going down the only road I've ever known.
You have to wait all day, but it's finally here. The Sports Rush, your daily local sports fix, 4 to 6. I am Brett Rump, along with Adam Lundy, and we've got you connected on the Parkview Sports Medicine text line at 260-447-8500. Big show on the way. James Boyd is going to join us to talk multiple stories. We've got, of course, the NFL Combine that just finished up down in Indianapolis. What are the Colts going to do? You have a free agency period. You have some money to spend. Apparently, Deebo Samuel wasn't the answer for the Colts. What is the answer? Is it going to be a draft? Who are they going to draft? Who looked good in the Combine? James Boyd will give us some answers coming up about 30 minutes from now. Also, hour number 2, it's time for boys high school basketball sectionals. And Chris Johnson, one of the real veteran coaches that we have in our area, prepares his team, 31 years or something ridiculous that he has been coaching. 31 years, 26 of them at Homestead. So I would say he's had some experience at getting teams ready for postseason play. And they'll be taking on Huntington North coming up at 6 o'clock at Wayne High School in the Class 4A sectional this Friday. We will be there for the broadcast. We will also talk to the coach about the season, his young team, and how they have been perhaps the hottest team in our area since Christmas time. So we'll talk to Chris Johnson coming up at 5:20 this afternoon. Our Parkview Sports Medicine text line, once again, for your question, comments, or suggestions, 260-447-8500. Mentioned yesterday on the show that my son is in town from Florida. He brought his girlfriend along. She is a Floridian, has not been to the Midwest, has not been to Indiana. I found out that she has traveled north. I didn't think she ever got out of Florida. I thought that she was held prisoner in the Sunshine State up until this year. She actually has made a couple of trips, went to upstate New York, but that was a summer trip. She went out to Colorado. So she has been probably somewhere where there might have been snow at some point, even if you're just looking at it on the mountaintops. But, yeah, they got into town yesterday. So last night had a lovely dinner at a local restaurant establishment, and they enjoyed it thoroughly. All I will say is the restaurant we chose, we made sure that she enjoyed the salad, because I said the salad is something special at this place.
Oh, you just gave it away to so many people.
Really? You think you could figure it out just
I think a lot of people.
Just by saying that this place has something special in the salad. And so we had a nice little dinner last night. Of course, we were talking yesterday on the show.
Yeah.
About what are some of the fun things to do, especially during the winter here in Fort Wayne. Because, I told her, I said, if you were here and it was the summertime, we could go hang out on the riverbanks. We could go to the parks. There's so much more to do in the summer in Fort Wayne than there is right now. And I said, you come in on a Monday, you're going to be leaving on a Thursday. There's no Comets. I don't know what to do. I did find out they went to Cat Cafe today. I was working, but I called and asked what they were doing, and they said they're having a cup of coffee with a number of cats.
Yes.
And I said, wait, real cats? And they said, yes, real cats. I didn't know a place like this existed in Fort Wayne. They found it. See, this is one of those things like being a tourist in your own hometown.
Sure.
Where you actually find out places that exist here because my son comes up trying to find something to do, and this is the place he tracks down. I don't know how he found it. He said he has a friend on social media that mentioned this, and he always thought if he got back here, he'd have to check it out. So that's where they were at today.
Yeah, I've been there as well. Went there last month. Actually, it was one of the fun stops. We're celebrating my girlfriend's birthday. She's a big cat fan, so we went and checked out the cats there. And it's a really cool program too, because it's not like you just go there and it's just cats that are trapped there for the rest of their lives. Any family that finds a cat that they really like there can actually adopt it through
that's what he said.
Fort Wayne. Yeah,
that all of the cats are adoptable.
Yep, and they've actually already gotten over like 800, 900 cats a new home.
Really?
So, yeah, it's a really cool program. I do like that place.
So you get a coffee and go home with a cat.
Yeah, you might. You just might.
Crazy. But he said, it's right out here on this side of town. He goes, it's not that far from where I live. So,
oh, no, it's close, yeah.
And so he was excited about that. And now tonight he's heading down to Indianapolis to go see my two older children.
Oh, okay, cool. Very cool.
Which is really odd. My daughter was a travel nurse, traveled all over the country, went to Portland, Maine, St. Petersburg, Florida, Seattle, Washington, has been everywhere. And she's now settled in to Whiteland. I don't know if it's Whiteland or New Whiteland, but it's somewhere not far from Greenwood, Indiana. And then my son comes back from Syracuse. They both end up buying homes. I don't know if they did it on purpose, but they're only like a half mile apart from one another. So he's going down, taking advantage of his time here in Indiana to go down and visit them tonight. So
awesome.
I'll have a free night tonight before he comes back to town tomorrow, and we'll have to figure out something to do tomorrow night. But we did get some text on things to do in Fort Wayne. What are some of the options that people are recommending to us?
Yeah, we have quite a long list here, actually, from a couple of texters. I'll just kind of go through the list here. The Embassy, the theater, the Downtown Public Library, the Fort Wayne Museum of Art, Electric Works, Coonhert's Milk House. That's that new dairy place that's kind of opened up recently. They also mentioned the tenderloin sandwich, Indiana famous. Somebody else said the Fort Wayne Museum of Art as well. They have a very cool glass display right now. A drive through West Central neighborhood. A drive through Lindenwood Cemetery is unique. A hike at Bicentennial Park on Shoaf Road. And, of course, the zoo is their go-to in the warmer months. But like we said, it's a little chilly right now.
Well, I can say this. I used to live over by Lakeside Park. Lakeside Park isn't that dramatic at this time of year because
no roses.
There's no rose garden.
Man, I remember last summer, I think somebody tore up some of the roses, and there was a whole drama over that. Man.
Yeah, they messed things up over there, but
hopefully things will be back in flowery this year.
But we tried that, but that's another case in point that during the summer, that's absolutely gorgeous. Now, we did talk about the botanical gardens. But I don't know what the hours are, or if you can just walk in.
Well, also it's like you kind of go there and you see, like tropical flowers and more like warm weather plants. It's probably a lot of plants you already seen down in Florida. This looks like home,
yeah.
But there are other flowers.
Well, that's like the birds. I mean, it's amazing when you go down there and you've got first of all the iguanas, which we don't have here.
No iguanas in
and iguanas
Indiana.
Are everywhere down there. The only thing that's neat about it is when you see one that's like almost 4 feet long, because that's a big one. But, and we had one of those monster iguanas in the backyard.
Yeah.
But the birds, I mean, you get these birds that are like 5 feet tall. I mean, it's like you've got ostriches running around in the backyard. We don't have that.
No, nothing like that. The closest we have to that would probably be bald eagles down at the Eagle Sanctuary.
My wife was sitting in a drive-thru the other day when I was talking to her, and in the background, I could hear birds chirping. And I said, do you know, just from a mental health aspect, how much better that makes me feel to hear the birds chirping? We don't even hear birds for like 4 months. Everything's always gray. There's no color because the leaves are gone. The grass is brown.
All the leaves are brown.
And the sky is gray.
Yeah, they were right when they made that song. My goodness.
But no, so I said just hearing those birds just makes me feel like spring. But right now, there's not a lot to do if you've got visitors from out of town. We tried, and she didn't have a choice. She's on a spring break. She goes to college. You know where she goes?
Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, she's an owl.
Woo!
FAU. Woo! But you know what she started studying?
What?
marketing with an emphasis on sports branding.
Hey, we like sports branding. We like sports in general, so that's good stuff.
Want to be an intern?
Yeah.
But anyway, 260-447-8500, tourney time, and it starts tonight in Indiana, IHSAA State Tournament Basketball. It's the sectionals, round one. Everything gets started tonight. It's a whole new season, and tonight you've got action. 4A does not have any preliminary. It goes right straight to the semifinals because both of our 4A sectionals are 4-team sectionals.
Yep.
And it reminds me that this Friday we'll be at Wayne High School for the Huntington North Homestead game that starts the action off at 6 o'clock, and then we'll follow that with Southside Wayne at about 7:30 to 7:45. Afterwards, be sure to join us at the Waynedale Pizza Hut for the Parkview Sports Medicine High School Basketball postgame show this Friday. But Carroll also will be starting on Friday. Now, we do have 3A action tonight at Garrett with Angola and Garrett. That should be a heck of a game. It's 15-5 Angola, 17-6 Garrett. It's at Garrett. And then you've got Leo DeKalb as game 2 tonight. At Belmont, you've got 2 games on tap. Mississinawa takes on Norwell, and Marion takes on Belmont. You also have action in 2A at Westview. Lakeland takes on Cherubusco, and Central Noble will play Prairie Heights. And at South Adams, game at 6 o'clock is Whitco Woodland, and the game at 7:30, Lures versus Bluffton. And the Whitco Woodland winner will take on Adams Central Friday, while the Lures Bluffton winner will advance to take on South Adams in the second game on Friday night. Winners, of course, in our entire area will be playing championships this Saturday.
Can I throw in 2 more?
You want to?
Yeah. We got West Noble and Columbia City in action at Northwood tonight, 6 and 7:30.
I missed that one.
Oh, good. Just wanted to get them in.
Just skipped right past it. Didn't mean to.
No, we didn't mean to at all, but good luck to all of our area teams.
Speaking of tourneys starting tonight.
What do we got?
We've got the Horizon League tournament. And, of course, on the women's side, it's going to decide who the Purdue-Fort Wayne Mastodons will play on Thursday. They still don't know their opponent, but they do know that they'll play at 7 o'clock at the Gates Center against the second lowest or second highest remaining seed. And it doesn't matter because there's 3 teams that will win tonight, and the one in the middle is going to be the one that has to come to Fort Wayne and play Purdue-Fort Wayne.
There's really no way of planning it out saying we'll play the winner of blah versus blah. It's just wait and find out.
Yeah, because everything gets reseeded, and the best seed plays the worst seed that remains. And so the number 1 seed, Green Bay, they wait up at Green Bay for the worst seed out of the night that survives. And the second worst seed will go to number 2, Purdue-Fort Wayne, and the number 3 seed will get the highest remaining seed.
Yes.
That makes it through tonight. But all right, so I have not looked at the men's games.
Okay.
But I like to pick lines. Remember yesterday I picked the Indiana-Oregon line?
You did.
And I picked, 6.5, and it could be 5.5. What is it, Adam?
I'll find that one first for you real quick.
Yeah, because I do believe I might have nailed that.
Might have nailed it. All right, schedule. I'm pulling it up here. Give me one moment.
We've got time, especially if I'm right.
Especially if you're right. That's what matters.
Yeah.
All right, Big Ten conference schedule tonight. Indiana at Oregon. Oregon, a -6.5.
Dan. Absolutely nailed it. And, okay, so give me some Horizon League games. Let me see if I can get these.
All right, these are Horizon League men's tournament games tonight. Detroit Mercy, the Titans taking on the Northern Kentucky Norse.
Northern Kentucky's going to be at home. I think Northern Kentucky is going to be a 9.5-point favorite.
How close do you want to be for it to be correct?
1.5 points. 2 points. 3 points.
Give Northern Kentucky a -13.5-point favorite coming into tonight's game.
Wow.
Yeah, taking a look at the next one, we've got the Doug Gottlieb-led Green Bay Phoenix heading to Oakland to take on the Golden Grizzlies.
Now, I know what I would make this game. I'm worried that Vegas might make it even more, but I'm going to go with Oakland at 10.5.
You nailed it. It's Oakland 10.5.
See, I've been through this before.
Good stuff. All right, last one for tonight. It's the IU Indy Jaguars at the Wright State Raiders.
This one's got a potential to be a really close game. I'm going to say Wright State 4.5.
Give them 9.5.
Wow.
Add 5 to that.
Wow.
So
Wright State is not a great defensive team.
IU Indy is scrappy.
IU Indy is very scrappy. They're not an easy out, and
you got to take them to cover.
That surprises me. I think that's a gift to get that many points. I'll just say that.
All right.
I'm not sure IU Indy's going to win the game,
but covering 9.5.
But I think that could be a really close game.
Conference tournament game. Things get switched up to 11, man.
Yep. What else is happening in the world of sports? Let's check today's top headlines with Adam Lundy.
All right, thanks, Brett. Well, Trine University women's basketball head coach Andy Rang has been named the 2025 MIAA Women's Basketball Coach of the Year after leading the Thunder to a dominant season. Rang's squad posted a perfect 16-0 record in conference play, securing the regular season MIAA title in commanding fashion. So congratulations to Coach Rang.
Awesome, and he's been great with the show whenever we've asked him to come on. So
absolutely,
really good for Coach Rang.
You love to see it. Purdue women's basketball coach Katie Geralds will receive another year to turn around a struggling program. Geralds met with athletic director Mike Bobinski last week and will remain in place for a 5th season. The Boilermakers finished 10-19 this season, a second straight losing season after a 15-19 finish last year. In the NFL, the Chicago Bears are in the process of sending a 2025 6th-round pick to the LA Rams in exchange for guard Jonah Jackson. The trade cannot be processed until the start of the new league year on March 12th. Jackson, 28 years old, has started 61 games over 5 NFL seasons, which included a Pro Bowl campaign in 2021. And the Vikings and quarterback Sam Darnold have been in discussions about a short-term deal to keep him in Minnesota. There is mutual interest from both sides following his resurgent season to keep the relationship going, though more work remains. Apparently, the 40-some million is just too high of an asking price, so they're trying to work on something where they can meet in the middle. But it's a name that's been connected to the Indianapolis Colts, so we'll see.
By the way, Katie Geralds coming back for another year at Purdue. If Purdue moves on from Katie Geralds, do you think there might be another Purdue-affiliated coach that could be of interest in West Lafayette?
I think there would be some interest. I think there would at least be a phone call for sure.
Just wondering.
Things that make you go,
So actually, her being announced as getting another year to turn around the program might be a good thing for Purdue Fort Wayne.
Woo!
Yeah.
Thanks, Katie.
Let's wipe the brow and sweat that one out. But, yeah. So, anyway, those are today's top headlines with Adam Lundy. Coming up, we've got James Boyd, who's going to join us later in the hour. Also, Chris Johnson, coach of the Homestead Spartans, will join us coming up at about 5:20 this afternoon. It is a Tuesday edition of the Sports Rush on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM. Really does seem like the Dallas Mavericks have got a curse on them ever since they traded away Luka Doncic last night. Kyrie Irving injures his knee, turns out to be a torn ACL. He is done for the year. He gets added to the long list of Dallas Mavericks dealing with injuries this season. That list almost as long as the list of players that actually dress for a typical Mavericks game. It's kind of ridiculous in Dallas. Now I think it's pretty much clear that Dallas isn't going to be a playoff team.
Yeah, no. At best, they'll be a play-in team, but I wouldn't even expect them to have a lot of success in the play-in.
How are they going to win games with the roster they have remaining?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, just looking right now that, their center, Derek Lively, is still out for weeks. Daniel Gafford, their center, is out for weeks with a grade 3 right MCL sprain. Anthony Davis is going to be evaluated in another 2 weeks. He has that left abductor strain. Kyrie Irving is out for the rest of the season. And it's just bad. It's just bad.
Yeah.
And you know what? You would think this is a team that could use some help. They assigned one of their players, Caleb Martin, to the G League. So.
Well, you almost have a playoff roster of players that are.
Oh, sure, yeah,
out.
Yeah. Put Kyrie at the point guard, AD at the power forward, Gafford at the center.
Lively.
Yeah. Lively.
I mean, you've got more action around the basket. I mean, he's a lively guy around the bucket.
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah, I know.
But no, a lot of injuries, no question about it.
Heartbreaker for Kyrie Irving last night, going down with the knee injury.
Yeah.
Ended up shooting the free throws.
Yep, credit to him. Shot the free throws, but...
and then done for the season.
Yep.
Pacers are hot.
They are.
They got one tonight. They got a tough one tonight.
Houston Rockets coming in to Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Yeah, Houston. Remember when Houston was like really bad just a couple of years ago? And they got a couple of good draft picks. And they've really done a good job of building that roster. Yeah,
ever since they got rid of the whole Chris Paul, James Harden thing, and then after that it was really bad for a couple years, and now they're back on the rise, so good for them.
Yep, so a tough one for the Pacers tonight, and no broadcast tonight.
We got college hoops tonight to broadcast here.
We do.
We sure do.
That's right, it's Tuesday. I've been a day off. I was a day off yesterday. What am I doing? Yeah, Mastodon's Coaches Show will hit the airwaves right after we're done at 6 o'clock. And then Purdue Rutgers.
Yes, sir.
Ooh, talk about big.
Scarlet Knights.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that coming up a little later in the show. Also, Thursday night, Mastodon start their postseason tournament. It is the Barbasol Horizon League Championships, as the men will travel to Youngstown, Ohio to take on the YSU Penguins. That is Thursday night, 7 o'clock, 6:45. We'll have our broadcast. And, of course, when you look at the last meeting between these two teams, it was a 2-point game at halftime, and then Youngstown State just blew away the Dons in the second half. And the Dons got beat in transition basketball. They got beat around the basket. They got beat in three-point shots. But, I watched that game back. Because I was doing some prep, of course. Yeah. And I watched that game back, and one thing that, and I did broadcast this game. Actually, John Nolan went on this trip. But, a lot of the threes that Youngstown State got were out of transition, where they pushed in the front court, somebody dragged into the corner, and they got a three-point look. And then Gabe Dines, you just got to keep him away from the basket. He's not a guy that's going to deck it. He's not a guy that's going to be all that effective from 12 feet out. But if you let him get inside that restricted area and post up or get the ball down in that low block, he can be pretty dangerous. He's over 7 feet tall. And he was especially effective on the defensive end for Youngstown State, had 6 blocks in the game. Got to keep Dines away from the rim. And I'm talking about dragging him away from the rim on both the Dons' offensive end, but also keeping him out of the paint on the Penguins' offensive end. And then you just got to be the tougher player when you go up against Nico Gallette and Chris Carroll. Those are two guys that they play a very physical style, and you've just got to be the tougher guy when you go one-on-one against them. So, and the Mastodons, it's always going to be a key to make three-pointers. When they shoot well, they play well. I mean, when the ball's going in. And they're filled with a roster of shooters. They've got a number of guys that are over 40% on the season from behind the arc. And so they do have to hit shots, and that's another one of the keys. They split the season series with Youngstown State, and now for all the marbles, the 4 versus the 5. Youngstown State, the 4 seed against 5th-seeded Purdue-Fort Wayne, and that game will be Thursday night. And since there is a bye tonight, that means the winner of that game goes directly to Indianapolis to be part of the Barbasol Horizon League Championships in Indy, and will play next Monday night in, I believe, the 9:30 game or 8:30 game. It's the second game, the second semifinal. I'm not sure exactly when it would tip. But, they would be in the first semifinal. So they would play at 6 or 7, whatever the first semifinal. Oh, do I have it?
I think you got it over there.
Well, you know what? We don't know exactly who they'd play because, again,
it's the reseeding, man.
They reseeded, so the 4 doesn't necessarily, the 4-5 doesn't necessarily play the 1.
We don't know what remaining seed they will be should they win.
So it would be the games are at 7 and 9:30.
Yes.
In Indianapolis, but let's not look ahead.
No.
Let's try to take care of business on Thursday. Women, meanwhile, will be at home. Don't know who they'll play, but they will be at the Gate Center this Thursday night at 7 o'clock Kids K through 12 get in free. And, of course, at the Gate Center, tickets are always cheap anyway, even if you have to buy them. But you do get the benefits of free parking and cheap concessions. It's a great night of basketball this Thursday. Pack the gates because this women's team deserves it. It's a record-breaking team, most wins, best finish in a conference regular season. They had, a 16-game winning streak. I mean, it's just a special, special team, and they will play their last time at the Gate Center this year, coming up on Thursday night, 2 nights away, and coming up at 6 o'clock on the Mastodon's Coaches Show. Among our guests, we will talk to women's basketball coach Maria Marcassano, who was also named by her peers as around the Horizon League as the Coach of the Year in the Horizon League.
Awesome.
Pretty darn cool.
You love to see it.
Also, Lauren Ross, newcomer of the year, not a surprise.
No.
First team all-conference, not a surprise.
Not a surprise.
The top three-point shooter in the country is hitting over 46% of her threes this year, but she is a first-teamer, all-league. And we also have Amelia Bromenschenkel, who finished second team.
Yeah.
And sixth player of the year is Jordan Reed.
Fantastic.
You saw through January and February, you just saw her game grow and her confidence build. And for those that don't know the story, Jordan Reed, who was a 4-year starter at Indiana Wesleyan in NAIA, came to Fort Wayne to finish up her career. And it just shows the talent that you've got in college basketball. So when we talk about these teams like Indiana Tech, St. Francis, I mean, just because they're playing NAIA doesn't mean they're not capable of playing Division I. Jordan Reed has been a very key part of the Mastodon success this year, and she spent 4 years playing NAIA basketball. But she also, before that, was the extra point kicker on her high school football team at New Pal.
That's super cool. Yeah, kicking extra points.
Got a state championship in high school football. All right, we got to take a break.
Yeah,
we got to get to James Boyd. He's going to join us. That's James Boyd from The Athletic, and now part of the morning team down at 93.5, 107.5, The Fan down in Indianapolis. He has joined forces with Kevin Bowen, and also Jeff Rickard has become part of that team. So they've got a new morning show, and James Boyd is part of it. So this guy also has an alarm clock that probably goes off somewhere around 4 o'clock in the morning. We'll talk to him, probably keeping him up at nap time. But he'll join us to talk Colts, NFL Combine, and more. James Boyd joins us next here on the Sports Rush on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
This is Maria Marcassano, head women's basketball coach at Purdue Fort Wayne, and you're listening to the Sports Rush with Brett Rump on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.
That rejoin's become much more impressive now that she is officially the Horizon League Coach of the Year, Maria Marcassano. Once again, it's Thursday night at the Gate Center, 7 o'clock. The women will take on an opponent yet to be determined based on tonight's results. And kids, kindergarten through 12th grade, can get in for free. Of course, it's been a busy time down in Indianapolis, once again hosting the NFL Combine. And of course, the Pacers have been at home since January, or at least it seems that way. Seems like the Pacers have played a lot of home games. And then the one road game they had to shoot out and go play was in Miami. Oh, tough.
South Beach.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough trip to mix in there. But let's talk about everything happening down in our capital city from The Athletic and now part of the 93.5, 107.5 The Fan Morning Show. It is James Boyd. And, James, congratulations on the radio gig.
Thank you, sir. It's a lot earlier than I probably wanted to be, but it's a fun time, no less.
Yeah, that's what we said. We said James is probably missing his nap time right now. He's probably still trying to adjust to that 4 o'clock wake-up call every morning. But, no, it's kind of neat to see and to hear. And, you know, we feel like maybe we were your training ground a little bit. At least, you know, we're going to take some credit in this.
Look, all seriousness, I'll give it to you, man. It's always good to get some reps in, show some personality, and then you never know who's listening. So when the opportunity came about, I was like, you know what? This thing might be a little more fun and perhaps harder than I thought, but nonetheless, a good opportunity to grow and flex some other media muscles.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's an easy gig. What, you just turn a mic on, you get to talk about sports? What a great gig. And it's like then they get in the chair and they realize the pressure you're under because everything you say is being scrutinized. It's almost like being a professional athlete while you're critiquing professional athletes. It's not always as easy as it sometimes sounds.
Not at all. I'm learning a lot, even just, the way you talk, how fast you talk, enunciating your words, making sure you don't use nicknames on the radio because the listener might not know. Little things like that I'm picking up along the way. But like I said, couldn't be more grateful for the opportunity I've been given here and the reps I've been given by you all and so many others.
Well, you're getting a chance to work with a couple of real pros there down in Indianapolis with Jeff Rickard and, of course, our buddy Kevin Bowen, who's been on with us, I think, for 10 years now. He's been joining our program, and it's great to have you still jumping on with us to talk all things Indianapolis. And, of course, I want to start with the NFL Combine. That's one of the most recent. What stood out for you? What were the storylines? Was there any real drama as far as storylines happening in the Combine this year?
I think the national drama was probably, what position does Travis Hunter play in the NFL? Obviously, Abdul Carter, the defensive end out of Penn State. Stress reaction in his foot. He's going to forgo surgery. He's going to try to play through it. Does that affect his draft stock at all? Spoke to our guy at the Athletic, Dane Brugler. Dane doesn't think he'll drop out of the top 5, and so that's probably good for his sake, and monetarily that's a huge development. And then obviously for the Colts, the big storyline was open competition at quarterback, which I tell you, Brett, I could not believe that Chris Ballard actually said that. I asked the question, and I was just thinking, here's one of these dumb questions. I'm going to get shot down. And I'm like, wait a second. He answered. And so that to me was very revealing.
What did you feel like it exposed? I mean, was that a message to Anthony Richardson, or what was that in Chris Ballard making that statement?
I think it was more so a message to Anthony Richardson than it was to the other quarterback, to be determined quarterback, because to me, I don't know how you really declare an open competition without having the other quarterback on your roster. Like, how do you sell someone on an open competition when we all know, at least in my opinion, it would be unfathomable for you to not start Anthony another game in his career, considering that 2 years ago he was the 4th pick in the draft. I get it, it's been up and down, but, if someone like a Daniel Jones or a Sam Darnold or Jameis Winston or Justin Fields came in and took Anthony's job before he started another game in Indianapolis, that to me would be insane. And so I just think that it was a message to Anthony, hey, we're going to year 3. Be serious, handle your business. We got to see some growth from you. And it's a make or break year for him and possibly this regime. But on the flip side, I'm like, are you opening the door to possibly say, hey, we kind of told you this probably wouldn't work out, and we're setting ourselves up to move on from you and keep our job. So I'm very confused by it, but we'll see when the other quarterback gets here, I suppose.
You just ran through a number of names as a potential quarterback that would be that competition for Anthony Richardson. I want you to get a little more conclusive here, James. Now you're a big-time radio host. We need to know, what direction do you think the Colts are looking? What makes the most sense?
I think someone like Justin Fields or Daniel Jones makes the most sense. I would honestly argue that Daniel Jones seems like the most feasible path because, Justin, I believe, could argue to stay in Pittsburgh and keep the job there. He's also younger. And then when it comes to Daniel Jones, I get it. He hasn't had the success as of late. He has filled out with the Giants, but he's also had a lot more success, quite frankly, than Anthony Richardson has had in the NFL. He's won a playoff game. He got the big money contract. And so I think even from a mentor standpoint, he seems like a really good teammate. And he's been in Anthony's shoes. He's been at the top. He's been, a top 10 pick. It didn't work out. And maybe he can kind of show Anthony the blueprint. Otherwise, compete for the job. Because I do think that people constantly, disagree with me on this, and I'm fine with it. But the people who are like, oh, my gosh, is that real competition? Yes. Because Anthony has not been a good quarterback throughout his NFL career so far. So any quarterback that's had some decent success, to me, would be competition, legit competition, because Anthony last season finished with the worst completion percentage in the NFL. That, to me, matters.
Does that muddy the waters for potential free agents if the Colts were trying to sign someone, especially, let's say, a wide receiver, that the Colts are non-committal at this point on who the quarterback will be?
I I think so. I do think they're good at wide receiver right now, and that's probably not one of their main priorities going through the offseason, although you can always add more skill position players. But I do think that, that first domino is what happens at quarterback. And because to me, it only affects offensively with the defensively. Looking back at it, obviously Matt Ryan didn't work out here with the Colts, but do you think Stephon Gilmore signs here if Matt Ryan isn't here? And so I think that once you get that quarterback decision kind of made, then everyone else can kind of make their decisions as well. Otherwise, just looking at guys and hoping you can throw money at them to get them to come here without a real plan forward to succeed.
Tyler Warren going to be available when the Colts' name is called and their turn comes up in the draft? And is he a guy that makes sense for the Colts?
He makes sense, but I actually don't think he'll be there 14, mainly because every mock draft I've seen, every person I've talked to, he has serious interest from other people. And, it is a deeper tight end draft as well, so I just wonder if he isn't there, do you go after a guy like Colston Loveland, Michigan? He's a very good tight end, more of a receiving tight end and still someone who can affect the game, or do you, look at a defensive player or elsewhere and then draft a tight end in the second or third round? So we'll see. But I definitely think that, Tyler Warren is the ideal pick, but, when you're as good as he is, you're ideal for a lot of different things.
Let's turn the page, James. Let's talk a little bit about the Pacers because they've been a great storyline of late. They're playing much better basketball, the best they've played all year, and Tyrese Halliburton has been pretty special. And he didn't necessarily start the season that way, but he has become what we've expected of Tyrese Halliburton. If I'd ask you, how do you describe Tyrese Halliburton as far as looking at his position in the entire landscape of the NBA? How do you describe Tyrese Halliburton?
I think he is special, and I think that he looks like the player we saw last season before the hamstring, and then honestly looks well-rested after the All-Star break. And the funny thing about it, Brett, is that obviously Tyrese is not an All-Star this season. However, he could probably still be All-NBA. He hasn't missed many games. I think he's only missed one all year. He's playing at a super high level. And I got this earlier today from Pacers PR. Tyrese is the first player since Jose Calderon in 2007-2008 season to reach 500 assists before recording 100 turnovers in a season. And so, obviously, this doesn't happen very often for him to be that efficient of a passer, and without having the mistakes. And so I think that Tyrese is playing at a much higher level than he was early in the season. And again, they're sort of playing their best basketball at the right time because, they look night and day from what we saw early in the year.
James Boyd joining us here on the Sports Rush. James, how much, when you talk about Indiana, how much of it is focused on the next coach? How much of it is focused on whether or not they make it in the tournament?
It's a great question. I think right now you're just trying to get in. They have a huge game, obviously, tonight at Oregon. It'll be a quad one win if they're able to get it. I think Oregon won 5 straight. And the weird thing about it is, every talking to IU fans and, watching the games myself, it's like, why wasn't this version here earlier? That's the biggest frustration because we see the talent, we see some continuity, we see some grit, some grind. But I do think they have a tall task tonight, and that's priority number one. I think, obviously, moving on from that, you want to get somebody in there that wants to be here long term. I can restore this program back to being what we know it can be. But right now, I'm making a joke like, if they go on a run, do you give Woody one more year like Chuck Pagano with the Colts? I don't know. So we'll see.
He was going to coach one more year as the interim until they decide. All right, so tonight, Indiana, Oregon. Purdue is hosting Rutgers. Which team has the bigger game?
Ooh, good question. I think it's definitely Indiana because if they win tonight, I think that they're in the tournament and they have a really good, strong case, even if they do lose, in the season finale, regular season finale to Ohio State, or if their Big Ten tournament showing isn't that great. If they win tonight, I think they have a really good chance to get off the bubble, get off that first 4 out, and be the first 4 in and beyond. But I do think it's a big game for Purdue as well, and you can't really overlook Rutgers. The record isn't that great, but, with Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper Jr., these guys can score. They put up points. Ace Bailey, I look at him sometimes and I'm like, this guy looks really, really raw. And other times I'm like, is he, a pro, right now? And I think he is a pro. And so you cannot let him get going because he can score with the best of them and put you on your heels. And then the key for the Purdue, like most games, don't foul, please. Caleb Hurst and others and Trey Kaufman-Wren, they've really struggled in the paint. And so That is not the Rutgers strength. Their strength is, they're two dynamic freshmen. But again, you cannot sleep on those guys.
Always great stuff with you, James, and I'm glad, too, we can kind of broaden out the categories a little bit now that you're well-rehearsed on all these different subjects that you have to be prepared for as a morning radio host. But best of luck with the new gig. We always appreciate when you make time for us, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Anytime. The one thing I'll say real quick, Brett, is no one told me all the games you got to watch at night for the next morning. And so that's been a good little challenge for me. Got double screens tonight.
Yeah, it's easy watching those West Coast games when you don't have an alarm that goes off at 4 in the morning. So, yeah.
There you go.
Enjoy it tonight, James, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, have a good one.
Yep, that's James Boyd joining us from The Athletic and 93.5, 107.5 The Fan, part of the new morning show down in Indianapolis. And he's been, how long has he been, 5-6 years?
Oh, yeah, good amount of time now. He's been joining us here on the Sports Rush.
I feel like they keep picking guests from, or picking hosts from our guest list is what they keep doing down there.
Maybe.
Kevin Bowen got his shot after he was appearing on our show, and James Boyd. So I guess if you want to host a radio show in Indianapolis, just send us an email or a text at 260-447-8500. Mention that you'd like to be a guest on this program. Seems to be the path for auditions.
The way to go.
Yeah. We got to take a break. We're coming back with our next hour. A lot of things happening here with the start of sectional play in high school basketball. That's tonight. I know Class 4A has to wait until Friday, and that means the Homestead Spartans will not be playing until Friday when they take on Huntington North as part of the Wayne Sectional. We'll be broadcasting that game coming up at 6 o'clock this Friday. And Chris Johnson, the Homestead coach, is going to be joining us coming up at about 5:20. Also, it's Tuesday. You know what that means, Adam?
Oh, yeah, it's time for trivia.
Time for me to pick another victim and win another round of Tuesday Time Capsule Trivia. Again, we are looking for first-timers. I cannot tell you how many people approach me, talk about Tuesday Time Capsule Trivia when I'm out in the street, out at the grocery, out at a game, and they talk about Tuesday Time Capsule Trivia, and one of the first things they say is, well, I've never called in. Why? Why not take the shot at knocking me down a notch or two or four? Go ahead, make today your day. Stay with us until another 15, 20 minutes. We'll give you a cue to call in, and you can play Tuesday Time Capsule Trivia. Worst thing that comes out of it, other than the humiliation, is you'll end up with a large pizza at a Pizza Hut. Right?
Yeah, no, that's...
Nobody's a loser. No matter how bad I smoke you. If you get a large pizza at a Pizza Hut.
It's all worth it.
Yeah, we've got Tuesday Time Capsule Trivia heading your way in about 15 minutes. It's the Sports Rush on 1380 The Fan and 100.9 FM.